School is often said to be a microcosm of where? Society. And if we look at our society today, there are a lot of rules and laws in place that we really don't care to observe. Can we say the same is true for the school environment? So is our problem a shortage of rules and laws in City Bethel or standard operating procedures? Is that our challenge? What is our challenge?
Our challenge is consistency, all hands-on, and visibility by administration.
So I wouldn't only say administration. Can we all do more?
We all been doing more.
I think after our challenges, I think it's gonna thank you.
That's how I feel.
Thank you. After our challenges, I think a couple months back, during the last term, I think we all buckled down and we did a whole lot more. Can we agree to that?
Yes.
And the data that I will present will show that we did a whole lot more in the second term after confronting our challenges. So our challenge isn't a lack of standing operating procedures and rules. It's enforcement, it's consistency. That is our challenge. So one of the standard operating procedures that that I was in charge of before retirement was the merit-demerit system. And for those new persons, the forms that we use would be these: green representing our merits and the red representing our pink representing our, we had red also, pink representing our demerits. All right, go ahead.
Time here.
All right, so we'll get to Dean Wilkinson's question. So these are our sheets. At one time, you can give a total of how many of these? Two, the maximum. Again, these are level what offenses? Level 1 offenses. Anything else? We're going to talk about that a little bit later when we talk about the referral system. So if we look at this sheet here, procedures, discipline procedures. Let's turn to this for me, please. We're looking at the page with the merit slip at the bottom. So level 1 offenses, and this is just a reminder, we have new persons in our midst. So the demerit slips are found where? Merits and demerit slips, also referral slips, they're found where? They moved a bit further back right here. So we have our demerit, merit, detention forms also posted on the wall here. It says that teachers will have these slips handy during class sessions for such infractions, so you can take as many as you need and carry them back to your classrooms. It says 1 demerit for his offense, but the maximum you can put a slash and add that the maximum you can offer at one time or give at one time would be 2. So those slips, yes, you must inform the student. They can't just end up with a demerit or a detention and not know that they have it, because how then would they report to that detention? So we had a lot of kids arguing, I never got this teacher didn't give me it. So it's extremely important to completely fill out the form once you would have written up a student. Yes?
I have one thing that I found that happened last year with a student who came to me complaining about not knowing about that. What happened was the detention was given so late that they totally forgot about it. That detention that they got was like from the term before.
That wasn't. I don't think that was exactly a challenge. The issue here is that demerits actually carry over from last term to this term. So if you'd have gotten 2 last term and you received an additional 1 this term, then you would still receive that detention.
So I'm saying that it's not necessarily the case with not completely filling out the form. It's just that it happens in that case and the students don't know that it actually carried over. They believe that it started new in January.
All right, so yeah, it does carry over, and so that's a challenge. But I'm also saying that part of the challenge is the forms aren't filled out correctly. All right, sometimes we have no teacher name, we have probably a student's first name, We only have a major concern is that we only have grade 10 written on the form. 10 what? That gives us a major challenge having to track down what homeroom that child is in. So help us out. Fill out the form correctly, please. Make sure the student signs or write their name so that they're aware that they got the form as well. For the, yes?
How long does it take to give out the houses for the 10th graders? Because that becomes a challenge too.
That is a challenge. That is a challenge. I think someone will speak to that.
You get that list from Ms. Meadows. I think she's responsible for assigning type of houses. Yes.
Yeah, that is a challenge. So until that comes out, don't worry about that portion. You will notice that the data I've collected here doesn't reflect that because we rarely get that in a timely fashion. All right, so that is a challenge that we understand. All right, the grade level boxes to place those merits in was usually along this wall. There's a table here, and the boxes are placed right here. We simply drop the merit, demerit forms in the box at the front. Those are collected and tallied every Thursday, and merit, demerit detention would start on Tuesday, and it runs through Thursday, Wednesday, and Thursday as well. His role is then given that list, and the list is also posted. It says in the weekly bulletin, but for the most part, it's placed where? Right along this wall here, and I think that's a practice that will continue. We would have had some amendments to the number of demerits given. I think during that meeting I referred to early in the term, last term, where I think the list went to 15 before a suspension. If not, I think we're satisfied with what's here. So we can leave that as is then, that's fine. So it says demerit detention will be held on. You can change that from not just Tuesday, but also to Wednesday, as well as Thursday. All right? Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. All right.
While they're conferencing, it says 3 demerits after school detention. Now I looked through some of the feedback from our meeting with, I think it was Tuesday, Vision. And one of the things, this sheet that you would have gotten from, that Mr. Wallace typed up, remember you all did in your focus groups, you were talking about different strategies for the discipline academic. One of the things I saw under the discipline strategies coming from teachers was, I think it was from Ms. Jolly's group, the correctional video or something session. Now one of the things the year heads, our new year heads, and we will introduce them soon, but one of the things the new year heads and I talked about yesterday is creating a correctional video so that we can modify behavior when they go into their detention sessions. Currently, we have a worksheet. And on that worksheet, we have lots of scenarios that they have to respond to in an effort to modify behavior. And so we want to upgrade this year and hopefully create a video, a series of videos so that it can assist with behavior modification.
All right, so again, I'll go through this briefly. We talked about the first demerit detention would be held after a student received how many demerits? 3, and then when they hit 6, we have a parental conference, another detention, 9 in-school suspension, and then 12 out-of-school suspension. I have to shout out someone who was giving us a hand with the in-school suspension, and she helped tremendously with making the system run more effectively. Ms. Strawn, in the janitorial department, she gave us a hand with putting the kids to work, with cleaning the restrooms, picking up garbage and stuff. She supervised them. We can't thank her enough for assisting us with that aspect of the system. Now, as it relates to the merit, give her a round of applause. As it relates to the statistic, the data, for the 10th grade, we can see that the numbers were extremely high. Over 1,900 persons received merits, but the demerits were also extremely high. And again, that spike, I think I noticed that really picked up after we would have met in the second term. It really picked up then, so I can say that the system is working and we utilized it. Scroll down a bit for me, please. We have our top male, top females for those homerooms, and Ms. Roma. Notice how much she gave, 973 merits. Let's give her a round of applause. That's her along with other teachers, but the bulk of those were her. I'd say that actually. I wanted to bring the bag, just show you how big the bag was with all of those, but I didn't get to. All right, so a question came up in terms of how could a homeroom have 6 demerits and no detention? How could that happen, anybody? 6 different people.
Yeah, so not the child. Yeah.
6 different people. This is the entire homeroom. Data reflects the entire homeroom. So that is how that can happen. All right, scroll down for me, please. For the 11th grade, merit totals drastic decrease compared to the 10th grade. I find that 10th graders are extremely excited about receiving merits, and you guys feel, I mean, no kind of weight about this. Here, have it. So when we have merit madness again, go mad, just shower it on them. They really believe they're going to get a trophy about this tall, but it's really only going to be about this big.
But it's going to be a trophy.
And it's going to be a trophy nonetheless. All right. So for the 11th grade, the number of demerits, 180, significantly less than the 10th grade. Top female, top male we have there, and the top homeroom, 11B. Where are you? Currently 12B, yes. Shout out to Ms. Martin. Let's give her a round of applause, people. Very good. Scroll down for me, please. And the 12th grade, this is where we usually see the least amount of merits and demerits. I think it has to do with that maturity, and they definitely value the whole lot less of these people. But there are a handful of them who are still in competition to receive those. So continue to give those out, continue to reinforce the good behavior and reprimand for the bad behavior. So top homeroom, 12B1, was that?
Calma, Ms. A.K.
Let's give them a round of applause. Alright, so that's just the top homeroom, but of course these merits would have came from all of the teachers, alright, to contribute to that. Alright, so the back up again. Alright, so the overall merit count for the school, 2,735, compared to the demerits, over 1,500 persons received demerits. So that is quite a bit. But again, it speaks to the fact that we're utilizing the system and we need to continue to suggest that.
It's an increase, a massive increase from when we started in 2016, and so we are excited that the teachers are utilizing the system.
So speaking of a long-term projection, this is actually a graph showing the data from 2017, and we can see the trends that are that's happening, especially when you look at the 10th grade. What's happening overall? With the 10th grade, what is happening? It's increasing, right? So we started out, it looks like about 262. I was told they have 2020 eyesight, 2015 eyesight. What's that?
Yeah.
Oh, 762, all right. So we can see the increase started to happen with the 11th grade. However, again, 11 and 12 grade numbers are decreasing. We know with the majority they value it less, but that shouldn't stop us from distributing those to them if they earn it. And the demerits, a similar trend with the 10th grade increasing, fluctuating with the 11th and 12th grade. Now, one of the challenges, I think this is the biggest recommendation I would have as an outgoing yearhead, is that this list needs to address the students that find themselves on this list. So this refers to the students who would have received 5 or more demerits and should have had parental conferences. Once they hit about 5 or 6, they should have received the parental conference. This is something that didn't happen. This is something I strongly recommend, is it just should happen, it needs to happen. A lot of times we think, oh, the parents don't care. They don't. Some of them come in and they absolutely deal with some of these kids. And if we don't do that, we'll never know if these are functioning parents or parents who actually would assist us in carrying out our job and our duties. All right, so some of these kids should have had a call a long time ago in the Christmas term once they hit some of these numbers, and they didn't. This isn't the complete list. Some of them are up to 15 and 19 at this point now, and it never should have gotten to that point. Parents should have came in, and other intervention strategies, guidance should have been involved. All of these things should have happened before we got to that point. So in that way, this is where the system breaks down. And this is what frustrates you, and it frustrates me, because I'm seeing the same faces over and over again without anything happening. So one of the things we talked about during that meeting that we had to sit in was that we wanted to create a focus group at each grade level, whereby we pick out those challenging kids in grade 10, 11, and 12. And we have parents come in, we meet with them, and we develop a plan of action to deal with them going forward. I think that's going to save our school, it's going to save us our sanity, because the offenders are always repeat offenders. The good kids are good, and the bad kids, or the challenging kids, they tend to be bad or be a challenge. And if we were to work with them though, we could change that outcome. And I think we haven't done enough of that. All right?
Thank you. Thank you very much. So now we see how the system has been used. Do you think we can use the system a little bit more? Right? Now, one of the things Mr. Munroe, did not talk about was the detention. Right? Because as a result of those 3 demerits, those students had to attend detention. And I'm not sure he did the graph. He probably didn't get a chance to because of BETHEL. But we wanted to see the detentions at each grade level, right? Because we were always having detentions. And what I liked about what was implemented was after that child decided he was not attending or she was not attending detention, the next day they were in school suspension for first and second period. All right? And that kind of helped to modify the behavior of the others who decided they won't attend detention. So we have the demerit system, we have the detention system that's a spin-off from the demerit system. The students cannot get a detention if you do not give them a demerit, unless you decide to hold a detention for them yourself. Right? In any case, once you do that, we're talking about systems and procedures. Make sure that it is documented. Because once this child gets, and I tell the yearheads, please keep the slips for a year, because parents come and they want to query. What did my child get a demerit for? Who gave my child a demerit? And that's why the data that you put on this is so important. We hold on to it. Mr. Munroe, was it the first? Bodie, the first or the second year when we had those dray load of parents come in?
Oh, yeah.
We had it, what did my child, we had to go back and look through the slips and explain to them because my child didn't, and we had to show them, yes, your child did. So just to reinforce, please tell the students, I am giving you 2 demerits. I am giving you 1 demerit so that they could be aware Oh, yeah, they can play fool. I know, give me that. I is a good job. But make sure that you let them know, and make sure the information is legible. First name, last name, homeroom. We have a spreadsheet, we track these students.
Sure, if we could add the date to that as well, the teachers could just add the date, and we could try to stay on that. Not to the form, but if they could write the date on the, when they assign the merit as well.
Okay, so we don't have a space here for date, but you can add the date and we will adjust it for the new ones, because I think they've already copied these for us, and we will include a spot for the date. Now, in addition to the demerit system, I was in a meeting and we had a teacher who was so passionate about trying to correct negative behavior without being negative. So before we talk about the system that's in place for that kind of student, I'm going to just press play.
Oh, I'm on.
Yes.
You need to be on the camera.
Good. What is this? This is good morning still. Good morning.
I got it.
I would love to see something called a positive scroll. We spend a lot of time highlighting what the bad the kids do. But I would love to see, for the students who may not be the 3-point GPA who we celebrate during the Honor Roll Assembly, but they are behaving in a way that brings honor to the school. I would like us to have, just how we go, we have this big fanfare for those Honor Roll students. I would like us to have some type of big fanfare for those students who behave and who try and they exert themselves for us, even though they know they may not be able to make the C grade that we would like them to make. And so I am thinking about putting a little bit more teeth into the merit system that we currently are using. And that could mean that we do a raffle, I was suggesting, where we raise the funds we need to buy the little prizes. So for example, okay, if I, let's say I'm Maceo, I have one of the twins in the 10C to B1, lots of behavioral challenges. And let's say he manages for the month of October to achieve maybe 15 merits. That 15 merits means something on our scale or chart. All right, so it's not just, okay, I got 15 merits. What does that mean in terms of CV Bethel? Okay, so I would like us to really flesh out and put some teeth to the positive behavior that the students are doing. So that's one aspect. So a child knows, okay, 15 merits mean I'm going to get a movie in A22 during lunchtime. If I got 50 or 100 merits, okay, that means I may get a Wendy's, something from Wendy's, I don't know, Starbucks, I don't know what it is. But just put something tangible with the merits. And similarly, just how we have the special assembly for the 3-point GPA students, I don't know if we can get a little, we can have a little luncheon to celebrate the positive scroll. I don't know if we can do that, but I really would love us to be able to do that.
Thank you. We're going to ask Mr. Wallace to come, who is going to give us just the procedures on the merit system. Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Give her another round of applause.
Good morning again, colleagues. I'm so grateful and inspired by Ms. Johnson's contribution.
Yes.
So with that being said, that makes my job so much easier. Thank you. I'm not quite done. With that being said, we will endorse that, and we need us all to work together as we did last term, colleagues, with our administrators, with our support staff, to make it happen. As Mr. Munroe said already, specifically speaking to the data, when we use the system correctly, students were in fair. of all of us collectively. They didn't want to go to 822. They didn't want to be detained at the gate. They didn't want the police officers to give them that strong talking to when they got up there. They didn't want, I believe it might have been Ms. Jolly, Coach G, Ms. Roll, and others who were doing the documentation, Ms. Boraming. They didn't want, oh, Ms. Boraming, you really have to call my mom, etc. And so we know that when we work together as a team, we achieve more. And so with that being said, thank you so much for your efforts of our efforts of last school term. And very briefly, I want to re-emphasize the importance of recognizing students. Not only our academic students are worthy of praise and deserve recognition. And so again, I endorse what Ms. Johnson is saying, and if you want to be a part of the team that will be helping to coordinate these efforts, please identify yourselves so that we can make sure that we recognize Johnny, who may have the 1.98 or the 1.5, but he is always here, always well good, always in class on time, and always attempts to do the assignments. And so we want to recognize students like that. With that being said, please turn your attention to the page that speaks to merits, and we have an idea of why we would be assigning merits to these students. We say no more than 2 at a time, but if you want to give 2 or 3, sometimes I do 3, because of what that child would have done in class, outside of class, around the campus. And so let's say 2 to 3. We don't want to do 15 at one time because that makes them automatically eligible for the Wendy's voucher, and we don't know how much we may be able to generate or get. And so with that being said, let's say 2 or 3 as our students make their or make the vouchers, make it higher. And I'm hearing that we ought to leave it at 2, just to be, because if each of us, if the child has 9 teachers and each of us give 2, that's so we leave it at 2. We leave it at 2. And so with that being said, we just want to highlight classwork, homework, department, perfect attendance, helpful students, and the list continues all the way down to excellent terms work. And we want to assign these merits as often as we can to encourage our students to continue to perform. And I think, as I've been doing some reading over the summer, we need to accentuate and highlight positivity. And so I cannot say more succinctly what Ms. Johnson would have said, but let's be positive, let's encourage positivity and cause our students to want to excel academically, athletically, and otherwise to make our campus a better campus. Thank you.
I want to we're gonna come to a conclusion shortly, but I want us, Ms. Johnson, I just want to respond to what you said about putting teeth in the merit system. We actually do have something in place, and we have been, I think Mr. Edwards can attest to that, a pizza party. Yes, Mr. Gibson, can you and your co-attest to a pizza party?
Yes, we can.
Yes. What we tried to do was we tried to incorporate the merits, issuing them at the awards assembly. However, we know that the awards assembly has been extra long, and so we have been unable, because we do have a system in place and we have been following through with it. We also have a merit board that Ms. Bodie, Mr. Munroe, Mr. Wallace, they would have posted the pictures of the students right there in the A block. So now that we're sharing that the system exists, what we are going to do a better job of is making sure that we do get those rewards up. But what I want you is to take 1 minute to do. Write down a list of the sheet that I gave you. Write down a list of rewards that you think the students should get for merits. Yes. So 1 minute, just have one person write that down, and we can pass it on so that we can look at it for later.
Okay, colleagues, I believe that the items that we reward the students with, it should be things that they find interesting. So we started with phone card being like that's like the basic, that's the base. Okay, a phone card, that's 15 merits. Phone card, 15 merits. Okay? We would like to reward. Okay? We would like to reward. Okay? We want motivation. Right? Across the entire student body. So if we're too stingy in giving things, then there's not going to be motivation. That's my premise. Okay. Stationery, just 10 merits. Stationery could be a little paper, book, pen, ruler. You get something like that. Cheap things. Then we jump to 200 merits. Bicycle. Bicycle. 200 merits. Things children want. Okay? Then we jump to 300 merits. A Kindle. A Hoover board. All these things can be bought from the States cheaply. These don't cost grands or donated. But these are things children want and use. Then we jump to 400 to 600 merits a cell phone. Cell phone starts from $100 and we go all the way up. Okay, $50. Okay.
But then you can get a donation. BTC recognized. Okay, you can get a donation.
Fine, if you want a certificate. Mind you now, I'm thinking like a child. I'm not thinking like a 30-year-old adult. An adult wants gift certificate. Children want things that are up to date that they can use. Okay, that's my 5 cents. Thank you very much.
I like the 400 to 600 because, and the 200 because what it says is,
What else did you guys write down?
our teachers are going to be using the system. So their head is self. This will be long. This mills and this
Well, what we came up with was
can be,
a photo display of the students, and that could be like 20 merits, maybe depending on the grade level. Talk shop coupon, 50 merits, and you could give out candies because you know they like sweets based on homeroom. Homeroom teachers can take care of that. Candies like 15.
so are you saying take out the pizza party?
No. You could have a movie day with popcorn and all that good stuff. 15 merits. They can get free entry when we have fun day.
That's a good idea. That's good.
Excellent. All right. Can you just pass your sheets to the front so that we can pass your sheets to the front and your head can use 50 to 70 minutes.
That's all good too.
What's this one?
All right. So we're winding up. Let us just kind of recap a little bit before we conclude. Now, level 1 offenses. What should we do if a child commits a level 1 offense? What system is in place that we can use?
Merit,
The
demerit.
demerits. Level 1 offense, demerits. If a child has a social issue or something that seems to be more tapered towards guidance, what could we do? Refer them to guidance. Now, level 2 offenses and beyond. If we look to the back of our pamphlet, our booklet, there is the discipline referral form. Now, I want us to look at that. It says, description of behavior or rule broken. On this sheet, you're going to state, normally I have it in like a coral color. We have these color coded. So it says the description of the behavior broken or the rule. Now I want you to go down. This behavior continues despite the following action. So for a level 1 offense, would you use a referral form?
No.
No, you deal with that yourself. Now, if that level 1 offense occurs more than 2 times, do you use the referral? Yes. Because we're seeing that something's wrong with this child's behaving. He needs some intervention, right? He needs some help. All right, so look at the list of things that you did. You warned, you reprimanded, referred to guidance, parent contacted. You could read all of that. Now, let's look at the bottom that says automatic referral. All right, so let's read the list. 1, 2, 3. Start from fighting. Let's read together. 1, 2, 3.
Fighting, causing harm, splitting class, stealing, uniform infraction, incidents, criminality, gambling, possession of alcohol, weapons and drugs, destruction of school property, possession of banned devices.
Of course, there's a section for other. Yeah.
Quick question, what are some of the banned devices?
Fire devices, items, firecrackers. They're banned. They shouldn't have those. Cell phones, they shouldn't have those unless there's a procedure for that. We want to put this in a manual. If a child brings a cell phone to school, they can register it with the main office. And of course, we will hold it there until after school, because one of the things that parents say is, well, you know, my child needs it for after school activity. So we don't have a problem if they bring it to us. We can keep it, and they can get it after school.
Is there a person in the office, and sorry, Ms. Somerville, is there a person in the office in particular who we should refer the children to when they come?
We have not identified that person as yet, but what I can say, at this particular time, they're all in a grade level, and there's an administrative advisor for each grade level. So perhaps until we identify that person, we'll have it in our manual. They can register it with the administrative advisor.
Ms. Roll, are we gonna stop all the activities of legal gambling?
I was going to ask.
Pardon?
Like,
Are we gonna stop all the activities of legal gambling, or the activity that leads to gambling, which is domino?
The dominoes.
Wait,
Now, we have not met as a team yet. Just by way of hands, do you think we should stop it? Yes. All right, now remember, your voice is not a vote. Just raise your hand so we can get a consensus.
I don't agree.
As a team, we want to take account so that when we go back into our meeting, we will have the data. Should we stop domino usage on the campus?
If there's a
Okay, hold on. Let's take a vote of those that say yes.
I say yes.
1, 2, 3. That's the minority.
There's an if. There's an if. If we cannot manage it, meaning if we cannot provide the necessary persons in place while the students are outside in the yard playing, if we cannot do that, then take it away. However, wait, dominoes in itself is not bad. If a student during lunchtime would like to play a card game to eat up their time because they spend almost about 5 hours a day learning, why can't they have a few minutes to de-stress? Come on, we gotta be balanced, colleagues.
I'll say this here. I understand.
Also gambling, these colleagues penalized.
All right, Mr. C has the floor.
I'll say this here. What Ms. Johnson is saying, I agree. I love dominoes. But what happened is the back is two things. And it's gambling and it's a set of cussing. And I said before, when I come out of there, I'm pregnant because all them effort passing, I can't tell you. And if I'm in my room, I can hear that.
You know,
You manage it, that's the question.
Mrs. Cunningham. Ms. Cunningham has the
And that is being played during class.
Okay, good. Ms. Somerville?
I agree with the de-stressing, but in my experience,
Excuse me, we still have a procedure, a protocol in place, and it will come from the vice principal, seeing that the principal is not here, and we're going to follow that protocol. So let's just please remember, respect the protocol.
oh, right, yeah, sorry. I was just simply saying, I agree with the de-stressing, but at the same time, if you see not helping, because you know, multiple schools I've been in, and I see that if these things they get out of hand, then you kind of have to rein it back in. So if it's a cursing and a situation like that, then clearly it hasn't been managed to a way where it's okay. So probably, you know, you just take it out and see, because we have so much other discipline things going on. Take that, you know, and maybe if other things get balanced, you can okay later on.
Okay, good idea. Probably setting up a room, which will mean that they will be inside the gate, which will be on campus, which will mean that a teacher will have to manage them. Now, I think we're going to close this aspect of it because we hear you, we're taking what you say, and we're going to discuss it as administrators, and we're going to come up with the best solution for the school, right?
The plan C, it could be a reward under the demerit system. So the kids who have a certain amount of merits, I should say, sorry, I meant to say merits, then hey, there's a particular sport, you get to enjoy that area and play cards.
So
and
creating
games
a
or whatever.
sport.
Yeah, so that could be a merit.
Now that's a good idea. This is the domino zone.
Yeah.
Right? And that'll be easy to make. Very good idea coming up. All right, so the referral form, everybody, we're clear on the referral form. The after-school detention, whenever a child is given a detention for the demerit, they are given this demerit detention form. Their parents is supposed to sign this. Also a little bit more clarity on the system. Mr. Munroe said it, that there should be more parental contact. What happens is once we get the list of those students with 6 demerits, we pass them to the administrative advisor along with the guidance counselor who is supposed to call those parents in, whether it's a group meeting, depending on how many persons it is, because initially at 10th grade you may have 50, 60. And so we call in those parents, and we may say on a certain morning we're having a meeting for these 60 parents because we want to explain to them where their child is. Of course, we cannot probably meet all 60 of them at 60 different times. So that is one of the things, and as the system continues to go on, you call those parents and you deal with them like that. So the parents are aware. We do know that parents play a vital role in changing behavior. Some don't, but some do. I'll give you an example. A boy was walking through the A block gate. He was an 11th grade, a 10th grader. I didn't know him, but he was walking through my gate. And I said to him, come young man, wrong gate. You're gonna have to turn around and you're gonna have to go back. He said, I ain't going back to no gateway. I said, my man, you talking to me? We don't know each other. You don't respond, you respond to me in that manner. And so I said, well, come. Because he wanted to kick up a fuss. Same time as I was dealing with him, Mr. Munroe passed and he said, Miss Rowe, that is the same boy who refused to give me his belt. So, prime time, we called the parent. Let me tell you, as disrespectful as he behaved, and as macho and as, you know, big and bad and biggity he tried to behave, his mother bunks him around inside there. He was saying, yes, ma'am, sorry, ma'am. He apologized.
So humbled after.
We didn't even know that was the same boy. So some of these parents, you know, these students, because they can't do it at home, they do it at school, she boxed him up. He was a totally different child. And he didn't want to cut his hair. I think I was dealing with his hair. She said, miss, how low you want this? She took him right there. Cut his hair, came right back. I think in probably 40 minutes, he was back. Model student. So parents, they're vital, and they're a vital part of the process. All right? So any questions? Yes.
I have a concern that Mr. Munroe would have raised. Are we going to, there's a list of about 20 students that we were unable to contact based on the amount of demerits that they had from last academic year. Do we want to pursue it, or are we wiping the slate clean?
No. Now, see, the good thing with data is, now you have that data, 11th and 12th grade homerooms, parents, grade level administrators, you know who they are. You call them, target them, deal with them right away. See, because dealing with these children in the group and stuff, they think it's a game. They think they're on television, and they like it because you're displaying them. She got my belt or she whatever. That may work in its place, but when you isolate them and you deal with them and you let them know, listen, I know we used to do this and I suggested this, but I don't know if we're going to do it. You identify them and you tell them you report to school next with your parents. Because right now we're trying to get our school settled. And if you're a problem, we just want you to take some time to decide whether you want to be here. So after that week you come with your parents and then we deal with you. We let you understand the conditions in which you're returning to school. Right? So we don't know if that's going to happen, but in any event, target those students, deal with them right away. So yes, consistency is important, but what is also important is making sure that we're not dealing with these students with a cloud. We're identifying them. We are dealing with them directly. Because when we deal with them in groups, they hide. I see you. You, AK, I mean you, come. Let's deal with them and let them know the consequences of their behavior. All right? Do not shy away from it. You are the managers of your classroom, of the school. You are the nucleus of the school. The ecosystem, you are the major part of the system. And if you do not assist us with carrying policies, procedures, then we will be operating in absolute chaos. So these sourshops or these systems that you probably are interested in, remember, they're going to sweeten our environment. They're going to make a big difference when you carry them out.